are your hosts for the truth from Central Islip, actor, co-host Frank Herrera, and from Central Islip, actor, Monday, your host, Andrew the Washington.
Normally that one gets me a little hyped up, but it just didn't do it. It just didn't do it today. But I still love that opening. I want to give my buddy Pete a big shout out and thanks. He's at NoFo Mosquito and Tick Control. They went over and sprayed Frank's house today. Took care of his mosquito problem before they have a problem. And then we have May 28th, Patchogue 40 Thieves. Clam and lobster bake. It's at Fireman's Park in Patchogue. This is going to help the Patchogue 40 Thieves in their racing season. And I'm going to be there. Frank's going to be there. And we're going to have a great time. So if you can, get down there to Fireman's Park in Patchogue. And we can see you can actually catch it. I'm so much struggling, but I will find a way. You can catch this. You can catch us Saturday, May 28th. Bobby, can we just go to the next one? Holy shit! I did not think this was going to be incredibly tough, but I haven't even gotten there yet. Couldn't do it.
Can do it, man. Talk, you got it.
On Saturday, May 21st, I woke up to a phone call that my Uncle George had passed away. He was a lot of things, but growing up, he was my hero. The guy can fix anything. He can build anything. He didn't have the general job where he worked for somebody. He always worked for himself. And he kind of is the one who led me to working for myself. I didn't do quite as well as he did, but I'm still trying. And he gave that gift to his children. And that yellow bus that you saw, he took that bus from what it was and turned it into an amazing, amazing vehicle that his daughters now do hair out of. They basically have a salon on wheels between the photography studio and the hair salon that these girls have. It's incredible. We had a little history that didn't go so well, but in time we decided that we wanted to make it better, and we did. I am so glad that we took the time to put us back together, because there was a time I would not go anywhere unless he was there. He got on a bicycle with two of his friends and rode to Connecticut to watch me play soccer. I was much older when I realized he got on a ferry. He really didn't ride the whole way. What got me on that one, there were so many antics that he pulled, and somehow he thought he was funny. And just talking to my aunt today, we talked about the corny jokes that he would tell. But he has a lot to do with who I am. and the man he turned himself into after the shell that he once became is amazing. And I emulate how he gives his all to his children, and I try to do the same. My love of NASCAR came from him. He was the first one to take me to Islip Speedway, and we used to hear the modifieds from our house, and he'd pull up somehow, just knowing I was listening. He said, "Come on, hop in." And we'd ride up to Islip Speedway and just watch the modifieds practice. And then on Saturdays, we get out there and go watch them race. But like I said, he had the corniest of corny jokes. My aunt told me that he left her with one just the other day. The last text I have is a corny joke from him. He said, "Back when you were a baby and there's a formula shortage, we gave you Corona and Long Island iced tea." I didn't even tell him that. You're an idiot. We didn't have Corona back then. But anyway, he never got to see me do my magic live. I'm getting down there the next month or two to do my shows, but he didn't get to see it. But June 9th, I have a show in Belmore, and this one is totally for him. Bobby, you have that? Oh my God. So if you guys can, try to get down there. It's a Thursday, 8 o'clock, June 9th. This is at the Living Room in Bethpage, New York. So I'm on Wantagh Avenue. It was a quick ride. I have some people that I recently met in person coming down. Goldberg happens to be one of the funniest guys that I have been watching on the internet. And having a chance to meet him was absolutely wonderful. And Ziggy is quiet, soft-spoken. I'm not going to get into his joke because he might want to do this at the event, but this joke was just the ongoing. It was pretty much one joke that he just kept going and going and going. And every time he started opening his mouth, you just started laughing before he even said anything. So that's going to be June 9th. There is no admission. It's free. You don't have to drive out of state. You just have to come and show up and watch me do my thing and a tribute to my Uncle George. And that's that. So Wednesday, prior to all of this, I had one of the most exciting days, nights, evenings. 2 days before having one of the worst days, nights, evenings. I went to Staten Island. Normal days, the amount of time it took me to Staten Island, I could have drove to Virginia. But I only made it to Staten Island. It took me 1 hour to get to exit 56. If that gives you a hint to how it went.
Oh, yeah, no, I know.
Exit 56, it took me 1 hour, but I did the Staten Island Comedy Show. This was a televised event that was shown along the 5 boroughs. We here on Long Island, we have to wait until it's uploaded onto YouTube before we get a chance to see that. But it was totally incredible. I have some pictures that from there. Nope, we got to go to D. So we do have some pictures that we're going to show in just one moment. And that's coming from the Staten Island Comedy Show. You know, they had the drummers doing their thing, doing all the introductions and announcing. It was pretty cool. I liked it. It was a little different when you walk on, and there's 8 of these cameras standing right there, plus one's on the ceiling. And, you know, styling and profiling. I had to do that. I had to do it. So this is me and Goldberg. Goldberg, I tell you, is a funny, funny man. And then there was, like, I couldn't believe it, but we have Ziggy here. And through all this, before I got changed, as soon as I run into the building, who do I run into? But former mayor of New York, Mr. Rudolph Giuliani. Right, so here I am, and I'm like, oh my, here's my opportunity. I'm going to take it. I don't give two fucks what anyone thinks about their political views. It was me meeting the former mayor of New York who did one hell of a job during 9/11. So if anyone wants to dispute that, you must have missed something. So I had a chance to do magic for him. So now I get to add onto the list of celebrities that I've had the opportunity of doing magic for. And something tells me it's going to keep going. So aside from, Ziggy and Goldberg that were there, Tom Padovano was also there, and he's another funny man. We chatted yesterday, and we're going to try to get some things together. And Jodie Oliver, of course, she's the one who's like really throwing me out there. She helped me get into the Den of Comedy, which we're now going on tour starting in mid-August. After the show, I actually have to call her and get more details from that. So
Now, you going for a month at a time, or you just like spot things, or you're not even sure?
I don't even know, bro. I don't even know. I truly don't. Each day we get more information, and Antonio Scott's the producer behind all of this, and Jodie's our go-between. So she's trying to get in touch with him, and you can imagine he's got so many things to do.
Right.
She's booking different shows. We know the states. I know that there's two groups going, so it's going to be a tri-state group and then a down south group.
Yeah.
I don't know which group I'm going on, but if I didn't know, it might be the down south group, which is exciting because this is going to bring me down to Florida.
Yeah, it's
This
a
is
change of
where
atmosphere,
I go
man.
to see my people, and aside from all of this, like I have more. I got booked in Minnesota.
Really?
St. Paul,
I
Minnesota.
hope it's in the summertime, not in the winter
June
time.
16th.
Okay.
It's right around the corner.
It starts snowing in August there, so
Oh,
it'll be okay.
our
We should
boy
get in there before
Chavez
then.
is in Colorado getting snowed in.
Yeah, my
every day.
daughter too. It was 90 degrees on
Yeah.
Wednesday, and then Thursday they got a blizzard. So go
So,
figure.
but before I keep going, I feel so. I just sit there and ramble on about
Ramble
myself,
away,
man.
bro. Ramble away.
This guy doesn't have it easy right now either. Your show's called The Truth. We're telling you the truth. We're putting it out. This is us. There's people who might not like it. You really don't want to know what I have to say about that. So I'll just ask you, how's things going with you?
Well,
I know
it's-
you're having issues there with your granddaughter.
It's been a week for us, both of us, man. She was born on the 14th, and she was having some complications. So she's been in the NICU in Stony Brook Hospital for the last 2 weeks. In the beginning, things were a little grim, but thank God, and I want to thank everybody who inboxed me, prayed. She's doing a lot better now, and she seems to be coming out of it. So it's just, it's my first granddaughter, and I can't wait to hold her. She's been in an incubator, but with everything going on, so it's thank God things are better, and hopefully in the next couple of weeks, my son and my daughter-in-law can bring them home. So
And you and I are like the same. Just she texts you, I'm just thinking about you. Just leave me alone, right?
well, that's it. We know, we don't overdo.
So how long you have shit going on? I won't talk to you for days. People probably assume that we talk all the time going through it. You see his face when I told him that I was going to Minnesota? He had no idea. We don't talk.
I knew you were going away. I didn't know you didn't. Minnesota wasn't throwing
He's
it.
got things going on, so just leave him alone. Let him be. If he needs me, he'll call
Yeah,
me.
exactly.
I shoot out just little. How you doing? Thank you, bro.
Yeah, thinking of you. Good. You good? That's how we communicate.
And just keep going.
And it works. We're like an old married couple. It works for us.
You're an old. There's nothing old about me.
Oh, here we go.
You know what I did? I saw our friend Friday night, Adrienne Whaley. She hates when I say that, and I wrote it down differently, so I didn't say that. I still said it. That's how my brain. But Adrienne Whaley, because I did the Queensboro Underground International Film Festival Part 2.
Part deuce. Yeah.
And this one had a lot of the award-winning films from the original one, which I said, I haven't seen you in like months. She was like, it was a few weeks ago. I said, she was like
Yeah,
April
you think
9th.
about it was April, yeah.
It feels like it was
feels
2-3
like a lot
months.
longer. It does. It feels like a lot
2-3
longer,
months
yeah.
ago. So I went out there and did that. We were able to screen some of the shorts in the films. But before I get to that, I will tell you that one of the ones I did get to screen personally was our buddy, Glenn McBride Jr., Supply and Demand.
Glenn's the man.
Speaking of supply and demand, make sure you watch it. There might be a little something on there you might want to catch. All right, but I do have some pictures from the Queensboro Underground International Film Festival. Oh, yeah, that's me. I was just standing up there doing what I do, looking handsome, talking to... And actually, here's Adrian and I. You know, there's some video to that, but we just wanted to get the pictures out there. And I was able to come up with something different. You've seen a lot of my magic.
Yes.
I probably just took your arm off with that shit.
That was good. That's
You've seen a lot of my magic, but getting ready for this tour, there's a whole slew of things coming out there. Bobby, can you show that video? Pay attention.
Yeah. You like juicy food? Yeah. How about you like this one too? Huh? Yeah. You like that? Is there anything else that you like? Maybe I could get another flavor for you if you like. Would you like another one?
Oh, okay.
So, no, but really, it's
Can I actually eat it for
don't
real?
go ahead, please.
Should I eat it? It smells like juicy fruit.
Cut that.
It's real gum.
Yeah. I told them.
I guess I got a bag of tricks. You have no idea what I have in store for folks. No clue. So I'm like, you know, they're like, what are you doing? I'm tucked away at home. I do absolutely nothing. I don't go anywhere. I go to work and home. But of course, people think I'm all over the fucking world because they see me doing this
That
stuff.
week you weren't here. That's what I said. You were home working on some new stuff
I'm
just for
tucked
this.
away,
And you had that tour
like,
coming up. So
I don't like to share like my magic. I don't like to share anything I'm doing about it. Anything about it until I'm ready. So I'm ready. So that's it. So that was Friday. And did I get a chance to breathe? Hell no. Because it goes this Saturday. I'm in Clifton, New Jersey, NAX Wrestling, the NAX Extravaganza, and it was nothing less than an extravaganza. Oh my Bobby, can we show some pictures? So the matches were intense. The action was fierce. If you haven't seen NAX action in person, you have to get down there and check it out. It is incredible. So before the main event started, I was able to catch up with Jimmy Jack Cash, who was fighting the Malta. He thought the Malta was picking on him because at the last event, he took a bad injury from Mad John. Mad John jumped him from behind before the match officially started. So he had to be helped off and went out on crutches. So Jimmy Jack Cash thought Malta was coming at him because he knew he was injured. Check out this interview I got with Jimmy Jack Cash just before he entered the ring.
Here we are, Clifton, New Jersey.
I ain't got time for none of this. I gotta go out to the ring. Let me tell you something right now. Both of the damager. The only reason why you called this match is because you knew I was injured. You know, last time I was here, I got injured and told I could never wrestle again. So that's when you decided to get at me for a hardcore match. Because you thought, because my legs were injured, that I couldn't do the forget about it to you. Well, guess what, Malta? I'm bigger, better, and stronger than ever. And tonight, the only word I got for you is forget about it. That's it. Yeah. Believe the hype.
They are getting ready for the main event here at the Italian American Center, Clifton, New Jersey. Oh, this is going to be a good one.
So the Malta was then introduced and came into the ring, and the crowd gave him a very big ovation. The wrestling was intense. Malta was giving it to Jimmy Jack Cash, but then things didn't go quite so well. You see Malta on the receiving end of that knee right to his chest. They say wrestling's fake. Look at that picture. You think that he was able to pull away?
No.
You think that's fake, that he's hanging upside down getting kicked? So that was part of the action. And you heard Jimmy Jack Cash say it was a hardcore match. This was a hardcore match. And the victor came to Jimmy Jack Cash when he was able to slam Malta through the wooden table.
Crazy, man.
I was there. There is nothing fake about that wooden table that Malta got slammed
Absolutely
through.
not.
And I just want to give a big shout and thanks to everybody who showed up for that event. The food was great. The food was gone by the time I got to it. I waited till everybody else ate. That I was stupid. The food was gone by the time I got to it. But I was able to catch up to Malta after the match. But I think the Malta might be insinuating that it's time for him to hang it up.
Really?
Check out this video and tell me what you think. You had an amazing match against Jimmy Jack Cash. You put it out on the line. Things didn't go quite your way, but are you seriously talking about being in love?
Well, you know me to embellish things. I don't embellish things. Let me tell you something. I've given over 26 years of my life to this business. And right now, I got to give a little bit of my time to my family because they deserve it. Family over anything. You know what I'm saying? So I got my kids over here tonight supporting me. I need to spend some time with them. I need to get myself in order. But hey, you never know. I never say never. For the right money, I'll come back.
This is the last time we're seeing Malta the Damage.
No, it's never the last time you're going to see me. My name is synonymous with what I say there in professional wrestling. And let me tell you something, Jimmy Jack Cash. You one hell of a competitor, no respect to you. This is your yard now.
I think we may have seen the passing of the torch from Malta the Damager to Jimmy Jack Cash. I guess we're going to have to wait till the next event and find out what they have worked out. I don't know about you, Frank, but to me, that sounded like Malta fought his last fight.
He does, but he also said never say never.
Never
he
said
may,
never.
He may make an appearance, you know.
No, he can make an appearance, but as far as being the headliner for NEX, I think he just moved aside and let Jimmy Jack Cash get ready to come in.
Like you said, he donated 26 years of his life to it. I mean, dedicated 26 years of his life. So I guess it's time, you know, let's spend time
dedicated
with his kids.
donation, same shit.
Yeah.
But he is 51 years old. He's high energy, man. He still has it. I watched him. Kudos to you, whatever you decide to do. You know I'm still going to be part of it with you, helping you get the show on the road. You got anything, man?
Real quick, I guess we're going to go to a commercial pretty soon. I just want to thank Thomas Robinson. I was cast in a part in a short film about a serial killer called Lester Vaughn. I play a special agent, Frank Schiavelli, and Thomas contacted me last week and offered me the role, so I'm very honored to be a part of that. I'm looking forward to getting back into the, again, we're slowly doing it with the, Cairo Killer, and now I'm looking forward to this role as well. So hopefully there's more to come this summer.
Things are picking up for you.
Yeah, it's getting there slow but sure. Now,
just
as long as COVID doesn't come and throw a monkey wrench
You
in
just
things
keep
again,
hanging
man.
out with me, and we'll get you there, man.
You forget.
You just keep hanging
You started hanging out with me and everything started
Whatever,
happening,
but
so,
you just keep hanging out with me. That's all I got to say. And I'm going to tell you, I'm going to put you on blast.
Let's hear it.
June 9th. I don't give a fuck if you break your leg, brother. You better be there.
I told you I was going to be
I know
there
what
June
you
9th.
said.
I'm
I'm
there
just
June
telling
9th.
you. I'm looking you in your eyes.
I will not
I'm telling you.
disrespect the memory of your uncle. I
Just
told you I
telling
will
you.
be there. So,
All right.
stop
So,
your nonsense.
when we come back, we're going to come back with Elaine Jane Boose, who she's just phenomenal. Well, first, she's like a world traveler. She's all over the country. She's been visiting family up and down the Midwest. And this lady, she's an inspirational, I wouldn't say speaker, but she's also a life coach. In one of my moments, she reached out. I was not in the mood to answer the phone and pick up the phone. But, that Facebook Messenger, all you got to do is hit the button.
Yeah, that's it.
She reached out, and then she sent me a nice message, which I appreciate. She also had our buddy Glenn McBride on her show, and I was able to get on her show. But we're going to take a commercial break, and we're going to come back right after this, and we're going to speak to, Alyssa Jane Boose.
Honey, it's such a beautiful night. Let's eat outside.
Okay, hon, sounds great. Ugh. These bugs are out of control.
Oh no, honey, look, Luna has a tick.
We gotta do something about these bugs. It's ridiculous.
Don't let mosquitoes and ticks ruin another summer. Call NoFo Tick and Mosquito Control. 631-888-NOFO. That's 631-888-NOFO. Or visit NoFoTickControl.com. That's NoFoTickControl.com.
There wasn't much of a break. I didn't get time to wipe my face.
How are you holding up, my friend?
All right, we're back with The Truth and Andrew Washington and Frank Herrera. We are happy to have one of our friends. I could say friend. I've been watching her travel all across the goddamn country lately. There's a couple of things I want to ask her about that trail, because there was a trip with a bike and something about the phone and the water. There's a whole message to that. But let's welcome in our friend Alyssa Jane Boose.
Bus. Good.
Bus, I'm sorry. Bus, I'll clap for you since we don't have it.
We usually have the thing.
Only Teresa gets that.
Oh, there we go.
Oh, there we go.
Hi, thank you, and welcome.
Thanks for having me on, guys.
You're welcome. So how was it driving across country? First of all, I want to know, how was that? All by yourself?
My drive across the country?
Didn't you go across to go see your parents? Or
I did. It was actually my 9th trip across the country by myself in the last 8 years. But I hadn't seen my family in a year and a half, and they were having some health difficulties. So I dropped my whole life on 9 days' notice and drove across the country and was gone for a month.
Yeah, we were following your journey across there, all your little check-ins and stuff. So it was so cool just seeing different parts of where you were.
I do have one question for you. Just there's one picture that stands out in my head. Have you gotten any more sun lately?
Any more sun?
Yo, did you see that Casper-looking thing that she had? Oh my God!
Oh, you mean my bikini picture?
Oh my God! It looks
I'm
like these white lights that are in here. They're so bright.
Yeah. You know, it's fun. I like to joke that I was really trying to be multicultural and exemplifying my Italian and my Irish roots.
Is that how you tie that in?
Yeah, absolutely. So I did get a little bit more sun. You know, I've just been getting so much positive feedback from the bikini posts and trying to support people with body positivity and loving themselves no matter where they are in their journey, that I just seem to be found in more places in my bikini these days.
Have you gotten any deals yet? Have you actually been any spokesperson?
What kind of deals?
I don't know. I'm not going there.
I think that's important, though, what you were talking about, body positivity, especially for younger girls. I mean, a lot of these girls see these women and these girls in swimsuit, pictures, and they feel like they have to be a certain body type or a certain way. And I think that puts a lot of pressure on young girls to think that they have to look a certain way when they're beautiful just the way they are, as far as I'm concerned, I mean.
Well, a lot of people think that everything, the beauty that is the vision, what you see. But they don't understand at all. You could have one of these Victoria's Secret models who's totally ugly to me because of her attitude. So it's the attitude is where the beauty comes from. So you might not think you look how you should, but it's your attitude that changes it. They don't get that, and people are too naive to want to listen. So I keep it to myself.
No, I understand. And it's interesting with all the filters that are out there these days, and people are even putting on their children. And what is that teaching your kids in regards to like them being good enough just as they are?
Right, exactly.
What was interesting about me doing the body positivity post and then doing a 45-minute live that ended up on YouTube was that I also talked about body positivity in regards to men's journeys, because I feel like there aren't a lot of places where men get to talk about how they feel about their journey with their bodies. And it seems like unless you're 6 feet tall with a big swinging cock and a like clear jawline and a six-pack abs, that like you tell there's like something wrong with you.
I was not expecting that. I feel like this guy hit the side of the head with a shovel.
With that, yeah, that came out of nowhere.
I mean, well, you wanted the raw, authentic truth here, right? So I was just going for it.
That's fine.
But so what's interesting is I actually got a lot of feedback from men from the post that I did, and I didn't have any creepy comments, which was shocking. And I had more feedback and likes and comments on that of almost anything I've ever posted on the internet. And I had men publicly and privately reaching out to me saying thank you for the post that I did and the fact that I mentioned body image and body positivity for men. And they shared with me some of their journeys, struggling with weight, struggling with body image. And it just really reinforced how important it is that we continue to talk about this, not just for women, but for men as well, and creating those safe spaces for men to be able to vulnerably step forward and share their own journeys without like fear of retribution and shame.
Oh yeah, you know what? I thought about working out, exercising in about 2005. That thought stayed right there.
I think about it like every day, and then I was like, nah.
I don't even pretend. Listen, I have the ability. I'm lucky with my body and my metabolism that I can eat whatever the hell I want and not have to worry about anything. But I am active as ever. Like, I can't sit still. Like, even at work, I can't sit still. I have an office at work. I never sit at my desk. Like, they use it. It's like the exercise bike at home. It's a code rack.
Most of them are.
I know.
You're just like, this is just where I deposit all my stuff. You
Right,
know, like,
right.
The treadmill, you hang all your shirts and stuff
Oh,
on.
yeah,
you know, so it's like extra closet space.
And I knew I had an elliptical, a nice elliptical. I never touched it, but I knew where every stitch of clothes was. One arm was for my scarves, though, because that was the winter side. So, yeah.
You can always tell which season it is based off like what's just like randomly hanging out on your desk.
There you go. There you go. So tell us more about your journey. Now, it was totally, I know you did some work along the way. You were able to get some things in there, I saw.
This last journey?
Yeah. Was all of those were your personal adventure pics, or were you doing something, meeting up with people? I know you saw one with your dad.
Yeah, so I saw my dad in Washington State. That was great. He's going to be 80 this year. Which
Wow,
is
he did not look it.
I know, right? Well, I'm also going to be 42.
Well, you look it.
Wednesday, so.
Wednesday.
Wednesday, yeah, Wednesday is my birthday.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday to you. That's all. That's all you get. No.
Oh, come on, I don't get the whole thing.
Oh, hell no. You gotta pay for that.
Yeah, no, I actually only saw, I had an empowerment coaching client that I was working with. And so I met with her virtually once a week while I was on the road, one of which times was when I was in Death Valley, which it was like 100 degrees outside. And I was so lucky because I snagged one of the last parking spaces in the shade. And I legitimately like crawled through my sunroof for part of it and was like sitting on top of my pickup truck in the shade. In my sundress. It was super fun. And but that was literally the only work I did for an entire month. I did 4 hours of work during the month I was driving across the country and spent like $3,000 in gas.
Yeah, you're lucky it wasn't now. You spent $6,000.
Yeah, it would definitely been double.
Oh my gosh, no, it was crazy. I drove 9,100 miles.
It's crazy.
You almost used up your lease in 1 month.
I don't even want to drive to Florida, and she drove 9,100
Right?
miles.
I have to go to Minnesota in 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and the thought pops in my head about driving, but then it pops out.
No, it's a nice drive to Minnesota. You should definitely drive it. I also have really great connections from here to.
I should really drive? Do you?
Yeah.
Listen. I want to be the guy in the back seat relaxed, checking my phone with enough leg space while I'm driven to Minnesota. My driving days in Minnesota are over. Listen, if you want to be a star, you got to act like a star, okay, honey? I'm sitting in the back of a limo. No, I don't know.
Yeah,
that's
that's not fun to me at all. That
Yeah,
does not, no, not me. Like, when I drive, I love driving.
So
I
do
literally drove that entire time, and I wasn't bored. I wasn't frustrated. I was totally fine.
I drove to Minnesota with a stick shift.
Yeah, I know how to drive a stick. All kinds.
She's crazy.
I love driving because it's really relaxing. It's time where I'm not on my phone. I'm totally present. I'm just looking at all the beauty that surrounds me. I have lots of opportunities to engage with random people, see things you wouldn't normally see, learn different people's stories, experience different cultures all over the United States. It's really a beautiful opportunity to just kind of like drop in and check in with yourself and work through any things that, like you were distracting yourself when you're sitting still. You can't watch movies, you can't watch TV, you can't scroll through Facebook if you're being responsible.
I like how you threw that, if you're being responsible. It's like she was looking right at me when she said that.
And it's just a really beautiful time. And so like I came to great interpersonal revelations while I was on the road this last trip, and it's brought me a lot of peace and freedom on the other end of it, which I may or may not have come to if I had been just sitting in the back being distracted by something else.
I really do, about driving to Minnesota, I really do think about it because, like you say, the drive, like I drive an hour to work every day, one way. So I have hours in the car every day to do just what you do. And it's kind of like my mental shutdown. I drive without the radio on and just think. Sometimes I pass the exit I need to go to doing different things because I'm just like in a far off place.
Sure.
But as far as what I thought I'd get out of it is seeing the scenery, driving, through the country. You don't really get to see much. That's my thing. And like you said, talking to random people, this is where I become a weirdo. It's kind of like not liking cheese, but love grilled cheese type of thing. Right? It's like I
don't worry about tomatoes.
I don't like people. Right? But
Just hanging out with the wrong people, my friend.
But I love to entertain people. So when I'm out, it's like as Andrew Washington, I really don't want to deal with nobody. But as Mr. CGYS, bring it on. I will make anybody smile. So, but it's just trying to learn how to separate and divide who you are. It's like you do so many things. And speaking of doing so many things, how did you get into being like an empowerment for men?
Yeah, so that's a really great question. At the beginning of the pandemic, so I had never done anything having to do with media before the pandemic started. I had zero interest in doing YouTube channels or had any like grand illusions that I'm like, oh, I should be a famous person. That's just like that's not where my head was at.
Again, I feel like you're talking to me.
There's nothing wrong with being famous. I am kind of famous right now in like smaller circles, but it's different. And when the pandemic started, I was working as a medical massage therapist, which I've been doing for 20 years. And I was also doing coaching with at-risk youth with horses, empowerment coaching, confidence coaching, so on and so forth when the pandemic started. So all of a sudden, obviously, we couldn't do any of those things. And as an industry, the horse industry, which traditionally would not at all be connected to the internet, we were like, what do we do? Right. And so I was hopping on all these Zoom calls with horse people around the world. And what I kept hearing from people was that they felt like people didn't really understand what it is that we do in our industry and that they felt really alone in what they were doing. So I was just like, well, I bet I could do something about that. Like, I know lots of people and I talk a lot and, I'm moderately attractive to most people. Like, that would probably help. I could do a YouTube channel. It'll be great. And so in that process, I started interviewing a friend of mine who is a former Marine who works with horses. And he vulnerably shared about his personal journey of being convicted of domestic violence, domestic assault, and his journey of redemption through that. And the interview was really well received. And at the end of the interview, when we logged off the recording, he said to me, I really wish I had a group of guys I could talk to about masculinity. And I thought that that was a pretty big deal. So out of nowhere, just on impulse, I said, well, why don't I just create a men's summit? And he was like, oh, that'd be amazing. And so obviously from there, it was like, well, we should probably create like a Facebook group that's private. The guys could talk about all the things in. And so I did that. And it was supposed to just initially be like a one-off sort of situation. And I do my best to be inclusive. So I was like, okay, well, if we're going to do this, like, let's do this. And so I recruited men from every continent to talk about masculinity and what it is that men struggle with in the world today. And we had millionaires, we had Hollywood producers, we had men of color, we had men from the military, we had men with disabilities, we had men with different like sexual orientations, and we had life coaches, just regular stand-up guys that worked with horses. And we just brought everybody together on a virtual platform to have these discussions. And every single man that I talked to, especially on the onset of that project, when I said, yeah, I'm advocating for men's rights and creating a space for all of you to talk about what you're struggling with, I would see men visibly like sigh. They'd hold their breath for a minute and then they'd just be like, thank you. Thank you for seeing us. Thank you for acknowledging that we are also human and it's hard. And that we don't have a place to get to talk about the things that we're struggling with.
No, we don't. People think that we're, especially being strong men, strong-minded men, people forget that we're also human.
Yeah.
And that we have emotions just like everybody else. And it is hard to talk to people because when you start to talk about something to people, they kind of just brush it off. Or wait for the biggest thing I hate is they just wait for you to finish talking so they can say what they want to say.
Right, so they're not really listening. They're just waiting for you to finish so they can talk. And they don't really give a shit what you have to say.
Exactly. So once you do that to me, I'm done. You can try to get me to talk all you want, but I know it's fake. It's phony. It's just like the phony cliches when people say, oh, I'm sorry. Well, you're not sorry. What are you sorry for? So I have issues with that because... And there's no one to vent to. There's no one to vent to. The one you vent to is probably the one you're venting about.
Sometimes.
Well, you know what's funny too? Some of us grew up in households. Like I grew up in a household with father. He was a World War II vet. He was very hard and grizzled. You weren't allowed to cry. You weren't allowed to talk about your feelings and any shit that went on in the home. It's not like today where our children know that they can go to talk to somebody. We weren't allowed to bring anything outside the house.
What happened in the house stayed in the house.
It stayed in the house, and that was it. It didn't matter what it was. You couldn't tell anybody your problems because, we didn't want anybody knowing what was going on.
Yeah, I didn't have the part where we couldn't tell because we had a pretty open family. It's just we just didn't talk, So I grew up just not talking. There's stuff that I just got off my chest maybe 2 months ago. I'm 50 years old, and I just got stuff off my chest from my childhood.
Yeah.
It's just like, and nobody wants to listen. And if they do listen, if I get the hint that you're just, I don't want to talk. I feel like I'm opening myself to you. You don't even have the decency to actually listen.
Yeah.
So, well, thank you. Even though I wasn't part of your group, thank you for giving other people the opportunity. Because if I feel that way, then somebody else feels that way.
Yeah. No, you're very welcome. And it's honestly been an honor and a privilege to get to hold that space because my group has over 300 men in it from around the world and no other women are allowed. And I hold that space very sacredly because I want men to be able to feel like they can come into it and also see a woman role modeling as an anchor that they can be held in that space healthily. And what healthy conversations look like with a woman. And I'm not there to tell men how to be men at all.
Right, that's what I was going to get into that. But you mentioned that It's healthy conversations, because a lot of times when you have a conversation with a woman, it's just quick to reply just as a defense mechanism. It's not being understood what you're saying. So right off the bat, whatever you're saying is not being heard, because the defense mechanism's already being shot out before you're even done. And half the times the way you took that is not even the way it was intended, but you were just so quick to ready to fire. That's all, and that's the only space you stay in.
Yeah, and I mean, speaking of that, so that's why I do men's mindset coaching, is to help men to healthily navigate uncomfortable conversations with women. And
sign me up.
Yeah, just come on down. It's not just for dating either. It's just like general.
No, it's general life.
Just general life. Because I can acknowledge too that sometimes, like, as women, we can be confusing, we can give mixed messages, we can be a pain in the ass. Like, welcome to being human. That's kind of the truth, regardless of what gender you identify as.
Oh, I thought it was welcome to being a female, because you just named every female I know.
I mean, like, we all have our moments. I'm sure sometimes you exhibit, like, all those same things too.
I do. My granny used to say I was on my period. Every once in a while, she's all, leave that boy alone. He's PMSing.
It's just one of those things. You know what I mean? Like, in my men's group, when I was going through some difficult things and I was feeling very fed up and frustrated with men in general, in order for me to not be a hypocrite, I had to be honest with my group and just say, hey guys, I'm going to have to take a step back. I'm going to let you lead this group however you want to. I'm finding myself becoming irrational and triggered by some of the things that are happening here. And this space is supposed to be a safe space for you to be messy and work through your shit. So I'm going to be personal accountable and not be ashamed of where I'm at, but to be honest and be like, hey, this is what being human looks like, and being a good leader and saying when I can no longer lead from a healthy space that functions for the purpose of this group, I have to take a step back and delegate to somebody who can.
Well,
and I stayed out of my group for a couple of months while I navigated my shit, and I watched to see what happened, and then I came back when I was in a healthier space and able to functionally stay within that as a good leader.
Don't go anywhere. I have to take a commercial and get some of our sponsors sometime. Don't go anywhere. But we'll be right back after this quick message.
Honey, it's such a beautiful night. Let's eat outside.
Okay, hon, sounds great. These bugs are out of control.
Oh no, honey, look, Luna has a tick.
We gotta do something about these bugs. It's ridiculous.
Don't let mosquitoes and ticks ruin another summer. Call Nofo Tick and Mosquito Control. 631-888-NOFO. That's 631-888-NOFO. Or visit NofoTickControl.com. That's NOFOTickControl.com.
The Suki and Scott Show.
This is one of the funnest shows I've ever done.
Lady, when you're with me, I'm smiling.
It's musical. It's magical.
This is a sexy show. Someone's getting some action.
Now, these larger-than-life personalities are on an exciting new journey. The Suki and Scott Show is your one-stop destination for humor.
You like De Niro and Cape Fear. Counselor!
Entertainment.
Jesse's girl.
Wonderful.
Can you paint with all the colors of the wind?
And optimism.
You guys have such amazing energy.
Let's laugh together.
I love him.
The Suki and Scott Show.
And we're back to The Truth with Angie Washington and Frank Herrera. And we have Alyssa Jane Buss with us. And she was telling us a little bit about how she got involved with empowerment to men. And when she realized herself that it was time for her to take a step back. And if a lot of people did that, a lot of people would get along a lot better.
Alyssa, I have a question for you now. You said you've dealt with men like all over the world, correct?
It's true, yeah.
Do, say, men in the Middle East have the same concerns as the men in, say, you know, America or Japan? Or is everybody kind of, or is it different? Is it like goes to each continent or each country? Is it different things because of cultural things they were raised or things like that?
You know, that's a really great question. And the honest answer is that it was across the board 95% the same, regardless of race, religion, cultural experiences.
So you women are crazy in every goddamn country is what you're saying.
It was really like men were just really struggling in general to feel like they could be vulnerable, that they could be safe in that experience, dealing with societal expectations of what their area had deemed to be appropriate to be a man, how they show up to provide for their families, the struggle with emotional regulation for men, because, for instance, suicide rates for men are 3 to 6 times higher than women, dependent upon the country's statistics you're looking at.
Well,
and if that isn't indicative of a problem that we have, I don't know what is.
Well, in every household, especially with what's going on now, you know, the gas prices are hitting $5 a gallon. People are struggling. Some people put $300 a week in their vehicle now. They might only make $600 a week. So, but it's like you have to put the fuel in to get to work. But then you get to a point where you feel like you're not working for anything.
You're just working a drive.
So there's people who are working, not able to support themselves. And as men, you feel like, yeah, what else can I do? Like, what else is there for me to do? And you know, men struggle to go get help.
Yeah,
that's a fact. But that's because when men go get help, they're shunned. You know, people call them names. Oh, you couldn't hack it. You couldn't do this. You're not a man. But to me, it takes the bigger man to say, I need help, before you get to the part where you can't use help.
Absolutely. One of the biggest things that I help people with in my empowerment coaching is to mindfully but unapologetically live an authentic life. And when you're living an unapologetically authentic life, you stop giving a fuck what other people think about you.
I guess you could sign me up for that, because, you know, although, you know, sometimes when you hear things or see things, it might rub you the wrong way. But ultimately, one of my favorite things is I can give 2 fucks what you think.
Right, but it's like, when we say that, like, what's the truth of, like, I don't give 2 fucks about it?
Right.
Is it a protective mechanism of we're just like pushing everybody away, or are we able to hold a space of authentic confidence and just be like, that's your journey, and I know that I am who I am, what my value system is, and how I am standing in that system with integrity, without having to shame you, without having to negatively judge you, without having to be condescending towards you, but really just being like, here are my boundaries. You have your autonomy to run your life however you want it to, but as long as you are not like literally putting hands on my body, it's my choice how I react to anything you say or do. Because true power is the power to be able to control your mind. And any trigger that we experience is merely showing us an unhealed portion of ourselves that is blocking us from being able to live our full authentic lives. Because a person can trigger us by something that we say, but that trigger at the end of the day is like, oh, that person hurt our feelings. They're like, no, you hadn't done the interpersonal work necessary to heal yourself to a point that any person that said something to you wouldn't engage in that area that was unhealed. So at the end of the day, personal accountability is taking the time and effort to look at the parts of ourselves that are not pretty, and to do the work and to find the support to become healed and grounded and radiate the truth and stand in it.
A lot of people don't have the ability to put the effort in to change what they don't like about themselves.
You're right. A lot of people don't, because they don't have the bandwidth, and no one has ever taught them how to increase their bandwidth. And understanding that when we have healthy boundaries with other people that are being disruptive to us in one way or another, like, we are actually facilitating them eating our bandwidth more. So the more boundaries that we have with people, the more our bandwidth builds, just as a foundational level for us to be able to address things like self-care, which would be handling our own stuff.
Well, listen, we got a few minutes left. Tell us more about what you're doing in the future, where people can find out more about you, where some men can join your group. Tell us what you got.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. I really appreciate getting to be here and having such real conversations. People can find me at globalequineaffiliates.com. You can also find me on Instagram at Elysia Bus. You can find me on my main Facebook page, Elysia Jane Bus. My men's group is Global Resources for Men. That's a private group on Facebook, and we're actually having an open support call this Wednesday at 2 p.m. Yes, I'm even doing it on my birthday. It is literally the only work I'm doing on my birthday is to show up for men at that time.
Of course.
And be having a specialist come in, an expert, and I'm going to be helping to co-host a conversation about men who have experienced sexual assault or sexual harassment or domestic violence at the hands of women. So, because this is a conversation that is rarely held for men, especially being held in a co-hosted position by a woman. But I have known men who have been raped by women. I know men who have been sexually assaulted by women and domestic violence that they have experienced. And so I think it's really important for the space to be held. Even though I personally have experienced both domestic violence and sexual assault at the hands of a man. And so that's why I think it's that much more important to say that even though I have personally experienced that it's not, I'm not going to shut down or shame or discriminate against any man and assume that they're going to do something against me, nor do I walk through the world with any semblance of fear of any men.
That's strong.
And
that's strong.
So on Tuesday, I have a women's group, Phoenix Rising Women's Group, and on the other side of that, we'll be talking about reclaiming our power as women in the face of breakups and divorces, and just being able to healthily navigate that and stay in our integrity and pulling in things for our own selves. And then I have my YouTube channel, which is also called Global Resources for Men, and my Horsepower Empowerment Through Connection, which was the first YouTube channel, which has an array of conversations with mental health practitioners, equine assisted learning practitioners, and so much more around the globe, as well as a smattering of other men and women who do life coaching. So,
are you sure
you can find me all over the place?
There's no more because I can ask them to add 6 more minutes. So, God damn, I thought we have 4 minutes left. I thought we'd be good.
Just Google my name, and I'm just like everywhere, just all over the place. Like if you want empowerment coaching, men's mindset coaching, sex coaching, like whatever it is that you want, basically.
Well, teacher, when you say sex coaching, is that visual thing? Do you like guide them through the process? Do you have to bring someone to class?
Is it hands-on?
Do you have to bring someone to class that day?
I'm so glad that you asked this question because it's a really important thing for us to clear up for people, because some people think that sex coaching is like a hands-on experience. However, what you're talking about there would be a sexological body worker. In California is the only state in the United States where you can actually experience that. Yes.
You have a number?
Write it down, a sexological body worker in California.
Those crazy Californians, I'll tell you.
There's also sexual surrogacy, which is also in California only. There's a really great reference for anybody that's wanting to learn more about that, which is Sex, Love, and Goop. With GOOP, which is on Netflix. It's hosted by Gwyneth Paltrow, and they talk about the erotic blueprint, which is super cool. You can take a free test.
All right, I got to cut you off because I have about 20 seconds left, or Instagram's going to cut us off. Thank you very much, Elysia Jane Bus. I appreciate you coming on. Frank Carrera, as always, thank you. And guys, thank you for helping me get through the roughest moment that I've had to do on this show right now. I appreciate you guys, and we'll catch you next week right here on The Truth with Andrew Washington.
Frank Carrera.
And we're out.
Have a good night.